What's up agents, Patrick Wolf here. Welcome to another Division 2 PTS video. Today's video is going to be all about hazard protection. We all know that hazard protection is something that we need, especially in PvP. Now I wanted to talk about how we're going to adapt your old hazard protection builds to the new system. To get, for example, 100% bleed resistance. How easy is it to do? Do you need 3-piece 511, 2 Cesco and 1 Jarl gear? The answer is no. You actually, in some situations, just need one, or you can roll hazard protection on all your pieces and not even have to have any of the brand sets. So I'm going to give you guys a full rundown, a full explanation, and also give you a build as well. I wanted to go through it like that because I've kind of made one of the best builds I've ever seen in PvP. This is going to be extremely potent for PvP, especially in PvE as well, to be honest, especially because we actually have, with this build, 98.8%. You only need about 97% to be immune to bleed. So the new backfire SMG, which I will be doing a full review after this video, it will come out today. It puts you on a bleed when you fire it. So I'm going to explain and showcase it to you now in the firing range. First of all, we're going to talk about hazard builds. So with this build now, normally on the hazard build, you would have to run 3 511, 2 Cesco and 1 Jarl gear, and then roll Hasbro to achieve 90 to 100%. But now what you can do is what I think is really good is, let's say for example, you're getting bullied in the dark zone and someone is using riot foam. Now you can use bleed resistant mods here because we don't actually have full hazard protection. We've only got 48, about 50%. Even though we've specced a lot into damage. I can do 700,000 damage per shot with this SMG when we've got maxed out stacks, but I'll showcase the gun and everything and how it works with this gear set, and why using a hazard build with the backfire SMG is so broken strong right now in PvP. Unfortunately, not a lot of people are playing the game on the PTS in PvP. Maybe later on in the day we'll have to have a look. I'll do more testing. Maybe in my streams we'll have a look and see. But I think it's quite interesting to note that with PvP, especially with hazard protection builds, now I have just put on 1 hazard, which is the Jarl gear, okay, and 2 Cesco, and that gives me 20% hazard protection. And now if you wanted to go for specific resistances like bleed, for example, that's 10 plus 10, that's 20, plus another 10 from your watch, that's 30%, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90. And then all you would have to do, that's obviously if you have maxed out rolls, all you would have to do is you would need to roll Hasbro on one piece, for example the holster, and you would get what you need. I've got Hasbro on my backpack, which mitigates the fact that I don't have maxed out bleed resistance mods. Like as you can see here, we've got 18.6% bleed resistance, and the max is 20. Over here I've only got 14%, which kind of balances it out because we're not going to always have guard roll mods, and 18% there, which is really good. Now obviously you're susceptible to fire and things like that, but in a fight it'll take you a second just to change your mods to fire resistance and riot foam. And the best part about this is that, let's say for example you had to roll Hasbro on every single piece, then you wouldn't even need the 2-piece Cesco, maybe not even this, because you could have an extra, you know, the 30% from for example the chest, gloves and mask, or the knee pads. So there are various ways you can actually not use the hazard protection gear set at all, but then you would lose damage. So that's why I've come up with this build to showcase how you can do a lot of damage with as minimum of speccing into Hasbro as possible. Now you might be wondering, well, why don't you go for more groupos and that? You can do that, but I just wanted to give you guys a baseline, which is this, because 511 would normally be in its place. We can tinker around and I can show you that you can actually get Hasbro pretty easily depending on what kind of pieces you have. So let's just go through this build now. I've gone for Coyote Mask because it gives me 25% critical hit damage up close. Now this gun, the backfire SMG, gives us 200% critical hit damage from the baseline. I'm going to do a full review on it. It's actually better to stack weapon damage rather than crit on your actual build because this scales off of your weapon damage. So have a look at this. So it lasts for 10 seconds. So this gun is only really good in PvE. Lady Death is better in PvP. I repeat, trust me, it is. Unless you can fire 5 mags into players who are potatoes or tanks, then you're not going to get a lot of utility from this. And you would have to have bleed resistance because strafing is, you cannot strafe and you cannot dodge bullets if you don't have bleed resistance. And you know, you can have 60%, you can have 70%, but I wouldn't go less than 50 because you bleed, it takes your damage and you cannot move very quickly, which is, especially on PC, a bad thing. So on reload, apply a 10-second bleed to yourself. This doesn't exist anymore, so we can get all the utility from the gun without the debuffs, which is perfect. But it's not about, this video is not really about the gun in total, it's about the build and how to do Hasbro. So the Coyote Mask is perfect. Bleed resistance mod, because we're going to be up close with Adrenaline Rush and Intimidate, some of the best talents for PvP right now. High damage, great damage, that's very good. So we've gone for the 2-piece Cesco because I wanted to get my base hazard so I wouldn't have to spec too much into the attributes here. I can go for crit damage and crit chance and more crit damage as well, and you can use Fox's Prayer. So with the Cesco, I've gone for weapon handling crit damage. Obviously, I couldn't roll weapon handling away. I had to reroll their talent, so that doesn't matter too much. Then we've got the Cesco Holster, Hasbro there, critical hit damage, which is nice with an armor roll. So 1.1 million armor is very nice, especially because we want to be able to burst players down. So the backpack, I've gone for Hasbro crit chance because we want to get our crit chance to 60%. Adrenaline Rush is very, very nice. Remember, this scales down in the dark zone. It will actually go down in PvP, so it won't be 60% with 3 stacks. It'll actually be 30%, so don't forget that. Cooldown is 5 seconds, but that procs Intimidate. Now, I need to explain something to you guys right here. So, this is important to note. So when you're making a Hasbro build or in PvP, you need to make sure that you use Sokolov, because with the backfire SMG, you're stacking 200% crit damage. It is better to go for damage to targets out of cover and base weapon damage for the SMG. Everything else is less damage than this when you're testing it with this, as you guys can see from the footage. So, first of all, I've actually got a list here with me. I can tell you exactly what numbers I got. So what I did was I used this build and I actually tested Sokolov and Fox's Prayer, and what I got was 695,261 damage. That was from Fox's and Sokolov. Then I swapped to Fox's and Grupo for an extra 15, but it doesn't scale well with the backfire's 200% buff. So we actually, with Fox's and Grupo, only got 678k. As opposed to 695 from the Sokolov and Fox's Prayer. So then I used Sokolov and Grupo, and then what I got, the numbers that I got there was lower than the previous two, which was 664k, 795. So that was way less than everything, which you would think would actually be one of the best. But and then I went by the 2x New Fury gear set, the Hunter's Fury, and it actually gave me 667k, which was a bit more than Sokolov and Grupo, but a bit less than Fox's and Grupo. So that was only 667k, as you guys can see. Then the Coyote Mask, what I did was I wanted to test maybe walk-in Harris. Instead of getting the 25% crit from 0 to 15 meters away, maybe if we put walk-in Harris, it would give us more damage, but it didn't. It was 695k with Coyote and then 666k with the maxed out sacks with the walk-in Harris. So obviously I just wanted to do that to let you guys know, so you know what to grind for. So Fox's and Sokolov is the best, especially because we need to be close range, and that just makes this mask absolutely insane. And the fact that we have got 100% bleed resistance, well, it only has to be 97 to be, about 97 to be immune. And then if we're getting bullied by people in the DZ with Riot Foam, then what we can do is just put on ensnare resistance mods and also be completely immune. So it's nice because we can scale more into damage. So let's have a look, and I can quickly show you guys. So normally with this gun, you would get the debuff after firing a bit of bullets. As you can see, we reload it. We have got no bleed whatsoever. We are completely immune. Just to give you an idea of how bad this bleed can be, let me quickly swap to just a normal damage build with no hazard protection. So as you can see, we've got no hazard protection here. We're going to put the backfire SMG here. I will do a full review on it soon. As we reload, it puts us on this horrible bleed, and we cannot strafe very well in PvP. It does quite a bit of damage to us as well. The more rounds we fire, the more the bleed will, the more the damage of the bleed will go up. So it's quite terrible. Using this gun without hazard protection is quite terrible, but we will see in my full review coming out. So let's have a look at our Hasbro build again. So it's possible to not actually use Jarl gear. So for example, if we put something else, something that has hazard protection, that doesn't have the extra, normal Hasbro build. Let me take away the chest piece, and we put on something that has hazard protection again, that doesn't actually, it doesn't require us to have a gear set that runs it. For example, Badger Tough. So now we don't have any Hasbro rolls at all. We can still go ahead and mod the bleed. So if you look here, guys, there's a whole bunch of stuff. Disrupt, Shock, Blind Deaf. Remember, all of these things I'm talking about are subject to change. They could change at any time. So just keep that in mind. So we've got no gears brand sets that give us Hasbro. And if we go have a look to our stats, we have got 68% bleed resistance, okay, which is good enough, but it's still going to give us a horrible tick, as you can see, and it lasts for not too long, so that I would say that's okay. The damage could stack more, especially the more difficult the NPCs get. So if we have a look at this, if we fire quite a bit of bullets into that, have a look at this bleed now. So it's significantly more. It's a little bar gone already, but it mitigates it with the Hasbro. So it's very important to get some decent pieces that you can apply and you know, use the knowledge I've given you guys here to get ready for when this gun comes out, because it can be extremely potent and you can do more damage than any other gun if you know how to build right. Like I said before, you want to stack your base damages up, not stack crit damage. As you saw from the footage, it doesn't help you. But here's the thing as well. So we don't have any resistances at all. If I put gear pieces that do have resistances, so we probably need in the 2 or 3 pieces. So this has got Hasbro, that's got Hasbro. So you actually don't have to have any of the brand sets. 88% bleed resistance. So we would need one more. So everything has got Hasbro on right now. Not maxed out, but it's decent enough. And then we put, that'll only be incoming repairs, not Hasbro. No brand set has hazard protection. And we go over here and we've actually got 80% bleed resistance, which is an issue because we need to mod it right here. So that's why it's not. I was going to say, I was like, oh no, what has happened here? So if we go, that's on the backpack, no problem. 18.6 on the mask. And then we come over here and it all applies to the, you know, what kind of resistance you actually want. You know, if someone's confusing you with the stupid, Banshee Pulse or Burn or, you know, the Ensnare from the Newbie Riot Foam, then yeah, you can just do that. And let's have a look right here. No brand sets, and we have got 100% bleed resistance. So I think the way that they've done mods is amazing, and as you guys can see, we can get full Hasbro without having any kind of hazard protection gear set bonuses. But you would have to spec into Hasbro on every single one, which means you would have to sacrifice on damage. That's why I think this combination is just perfect. So I hope you guys did enjoy this video. I just want to talk about hazard protection, and this is going to be the build that I'm going to be using in PvP for my Hasbro. I might go for one more armor, maybe get 1.3 million armor, but the more damage the better, because this gun, if you can stack it up, it's unbelievably good. But to be honest, in PvP, I would not use it. I would rather use the Lady Death. It's more burst damage, and this is very situational, even though the total damage in RPM is way higher, and because the mag size is so big. Have a look at the difference. So I could do a comparison, but to be honest, guys, I was going to make a comparison video, but they are two completely different play styles of weapons. You have to play a different way between the two. This is more of a spammable weapon, and it's really good to have hazard protection, especially because you run slower, and you know, you don't have to worry about that anymore. But like you saw from the stream, I demonstrated all of that. But yeah, another thing to note is that Perfect Bloodsucker is way better than Adrenaline Rush for PvE, but in PvP it's way more difficult, because having to get a kill to proc you know, talent is not really good, because especially if you just get into 1v1 scenarios or situations, you definitely just want to have the buff outright, which this is what it gives us because of the base damage, and that works perfectly with the Backfire SMG. So if you guys would enjoy this little Hasbro build kind of demonstration of how your build's going to look in TU11, if you have any more insights for me, let me know. Just a quick little side note, I don't know if I'm incorrect here. Can you guys correct me? Leave a comment, please, because from what I remember, the ammo dump holster would actually give you an extra mod slot. And I think because they've changed mod slots and made them so strong, I think they've completely taken it off. Have a look at this. So the ammo dump, I'm pretty sure it had a mod slot, and now it's a gear die, and there is an appearance mod slot. So you can change it to look like anything else. There's no more normal mod slot. Is that because of the strength of the Hasbro, like the bleed resistance mods? Can you imagine? That's 2, 4, 6, 8. 80% you could get if the holster had it. So I think that's obviously why they've taken it away. Is it another holster? It's not the Forge. I'm trying to think what else it could be. So let me know what you guys, let me know in the comments if I'm being silly, or I could have sworn there was a mod slot there, but I guess it would be broken. So let me know in the comments, guys. Before we end this video, I just wanted to quickly showcase the Ninja Bike knee pads, because a lot of people were asking whether or not it mitigates the bleed. So what we're going to do is we're going to actually put on a DPS build so we don't have hazard protection, and let's see if we can take away the bleed. we're going to put on the Ninja Bike Messenger. I don't know why people think this takes away the bleed. Maybe because when you vault over, it actually reloads the weapon for you. And seeing as though the actual weapon, when it puts you on the bleed, is after a reload. So let's have a look and see if this works. So what we're going to do is we're just going to shoot an NPC, maybe half a mag, not even. And then we'll just vault over these little squares. It'll give us a good idea. So that's a decent amount. Just reloaded it. And it actually stopped us from bleeding, guys. And then what we can do is to double check. We can fire a bit of rounds there without vaulting. And reload normally. Then it puts us on the bleed. So it does work. That is a good thing that someone pointed out to me. Thank you very much. I can't remember who it was. But that's very interesting. So we're off the bleed now. We fired a mag. We vault over. It has now reloaded the gun for us without counting as an actual reload. And we are getting none of the bleed. So that is something that is very interesting. And I'm glad someone pointed that out. And I'm glad I can showcase this to you guys. So you don't actually go on the bleed when you vault with the Ninja Bike knee pads. So that's going to be it for the video, agents. Thank you very much for watching. And I'll be seeing everybody in the next video. Peace out, guys.